Hello, welcome to La Excellence. If you observe today's newspaper, there are many articles on this particular issue called Cyclone Vayu. In this context, we should understand what is this Cyclone Vayu, how tropical cyclones like these are formed, what are the impacts of tropical cyclones, are there any mechanisms to reduce the impact of tropical cyclones? If we take India, we have two coasts, eastern coast, western coast. Which coast is more prone to cyclones? And NDMA Guidelines, National Disaster Management Authority guidelines to mitigate the impact of cyclones. These dimensions we are going to understand in this particular video. Now, let's start with what is a cyclone. Cyclone is a low pressure system with heavy winds and rains associated with it. If we see cyclones in general, they are classified into two types. One is extratropical cyclones, also called as temperate cyclones. Second one is tropical cyclones. In India, we experience both extratropical cyclones and tropical cyclones. Tropical cyclones, yes, understandable because our country mostly lies in tropical regions, so we can understand, yes, it is prone to tropical cyclones. But where do we experience extratropical cyclones? This we experience in temperate zones of Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, but first let us understand what are the reasons for the formation of cyclones. Cyclones are formed over water. That we should know. Now let's start the conditions or reasons. First of all, the favorable conditions for the intensification of tropical cyclone or tropical storm. Before understanding these 5 points, we should understand that tropical cyclone is nothing but a low pressure system. It's a low pressure system formed over a water body. This low pressure system gets intensified once winds come in all these directions from the high pressure zones. It gets intensifies and then clouds form around it. Based on the wind pattern, this entire system, this is a weather system, this entire system moves either in this direction or in this direction based on which hemisphere this pressure system is forming. Now, in northern hemisphere where we are located, this entire system moves from east to west, eastern direction to western direction. In southern hemisphere, it moves from west to east. How? Why it moves from east to west in the northern hemisphere? Why it moves from west to east in the southern hemisphere? It is because of one factor that is known as Coriolis force. Coriolis force, you might have understood. This is the deflecting force which deflects the winds. So in northern hemisphere, wind deflects like this, right? That's why east to west. In southern hemisphere, it's like this. That's why west to east. Then, conditions now. First condition is large sea surface area with temperature, with water temperature higher than 27 degrees. And that temperature water should expand till the depth of at least 60 meters. It's not just on the surface of 1-2 meters, but till the depth of 60 meters. Then, presence of Coriolis force, we just understood based on the Coriolis force only this weather system is moving either from east to west or from west to east. So, Coriolis force should be present. Tell me which area doesn't experience Coriolis force? It's equatorial region. That's why near equator we will not experience any kind of tropical cyclones. Right? Next, small variations in the vertical wind speed. Winds come from horizontal direction and move vertically also. In this movement, vertical movement, the pressure difference should be less. Otherwise, the entire heat goes away like this. Only the pressure difference horizontally should be more, vertically should be less. That's another condition. Next, pre-existing weak low pressure area. Some pre-existing low pressure area should be formed over there. Then upper divergence above the sea level system. It should not stop at this level. There should be divergence. Wind should move like this. So there should be divergence. These are 5 important reasons or conditions for the formation of cyclone. In this diagram, see, it is represented. Water temperature more, the water vapor moves up, and the system rotates like this. The rotating system moves like this in northern hemisphere, like this in southern hemisphere. There are many regions in the world that experiences cyclonic storms. But in different regions, these are called with different names. That is why different terminology. Here, typhoons in the China Sea and Pacific Ocean, they call cyclones as typhoons. Hurricanes in West Indian Islands and Caribbean Sea. Tornadoes in Guinea lands of West Africa, southern USA, tornadoes. Willies in Australia. Tropical cyclones in the Indian Ocean region. Next, you might have observed we called Cyclone Vayu as severe cyclonic storm or severe cyclone. Why severe cyclone? There is a classification to describe a particular cyclone as severe cyclone, depression, super cyclone, etc. It is based on the IMD, Indian Meteorological Department's classification. We give different names to the cyclones. Here if you see, tropical disturbances. Based on the wind speed, we categorize them. Wind speed in kmph is given. Wind speeds in knots is also given. Here, low pressure. When do we call a particular system as low pressure? If the wind speed is less than 31 kmph, we call it as low pressure. If the wind speed is between 31 to 49 kmph, we call it as depression. If the wind speed is between 49 to 61 kmph, we call it as deep depression. We call only those systems between 61 to 88 kmph speed as cyclonic storm. Otherwise, we call them as just depressions. Now, severe cyclone. Severe cyclone means the wind speed is between 88 kmph to 117 kmph. And super cyclone. There are many super cyclones that hit India. Cyclone Phylin, we call it as a super cyclone. That means the wind speed is more than 221 kmph. This is how IMD classifies various cyclones based on the wind speed. There is another categorization for classification of cyclones that is based on the extent of damage that they cause. Here if we see, if the wind speed is between 120 to 150 kmph, damage would be minimal. Moderate means 150 to 180. Extensive means 180 to 210. Extreme severe cyclone means 210 to 250. Above 250 it is known as catastrophic. This is how IMD classifies cyclones based on the damage. That's the technical definition and classification of IMD. But how do we give the names? That's the question, right? We have World Meteorological Organization. This World Meteorological Organization coordinates different meteorological departments of different countries. For example, for us, IMD, Indian Meteorological Department, is our meteorological agency. Likewise, different countries have different departments. So, these are coordinated by World Meteorological Organization, and it has given a criteria that let's divide cyclone prone ocean basins into different categories, and each basin should give a set of names. Whenever a cyclone occurs, that name should be kept to that particular cyclone. That's the condition. So for us, we are in Northern Indian Ocean region. So there are list of countries which are in this particular zone. Bangladesh, India, Maldives, Myanmar, Oman, Pakistan, Sri Lanka and Thailand. These countries get affected by the cyclones that are formed in the Northern Indian Ocean. Northern Indian Ocean here means Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea also for us. Now, they give a list of names. Here see, recently Cyclone Pathai, given by Thailand. Then Cyclone Fani, given by Bangladesh. Now our turn, Vayu. Likewise, all the countries submits the names. Whenever a cyclone occurs, they keep one name and then they move to another country. See, Titli, Pakistan. Next came Gaja and then Pethai, Fani, now Vayu. If next time some other cyclones comes up in this particular region, then the name would be Hika, given by Maldives. Now Vayu, the name is given by India. Now we should understand what are the impacts of cyclones. Cyclones, they cause huge damage to the structures, to the roads, bridges, etc., infrastructure. And then they cause storm surges and torrential flooding. These two leads to huge scale destruction. Destruction to the crop, destruction to the houses, destruction to the property, public as well as private property, etc. Here we should understand this term known as storm surge. What does this mean, storm surge? We said tropical cyclone is associated with heavy winds and rains. So when this cyclone moves towards land, this also brings huge winds. So this wind near to the ocean, it brings up water. That leads to inundation of the nearby areas. So these are the conditions for factors for formation of storm surges. The next question is India vulnerable for cyclones? Yes. Indian subcontinent is exposed to nearly 10% of all tropical cyclones in the world. We have the longest coastline, 7,000 kilometers, of which 5,700 kilometers length is prone to cyclones of various degrees. We have 13 coastal states and union territories. In that, 84 coastal districts are affected by these tropical cyclones. 4 states and 1 union territory. What are these 4 states? Tamil Nadu, AP, Odisha, West Bengal, and Puducherry. These in the eastern coast, Gujarat on the western coast. These are highly vulnerable to cyclone disasters. Remaining coastal states are also prone to cyclonic storms, but these 4 states in the eastern coast, this 1 state in the western coast is highly prone to the cyclonic disasters. This is the map of cyclone vulnerability. Here if you observe, this entire coast is prone to cyclonic storm. Here if you see, Gujarat coast is highly prone to cyclonic storm. The remaining regions, yes, prone to cyclonic storm but moderate. Here if you see, here why have we kept this as highly prone to cyclonic storm? Here you can understand this cyclonic storm that originates in Bay of Bengal reaches here also. So these regions are also prone to cyclonic storm. Here why? We said there is another kind of cyclone, that is temperate cyclone. This region is a hilly region with very low temperatures. So here temperate cyclones are common. Here, what is the nature of tropical cyclones in India? Cyclones occur on both the coasts. Western coast because of Arabian Ocean, eastern coast because of Bay of Bengal. Out of all the cyclones that affect India, majority of them initially they originate over Bay of Bengal and strikes the eastern coast. On an average 5 to 6 tropical cyclones every year, and out of which 2 to 3 would be very severe cyclones. And if you observe, Bay of Bengal region experiences more intense cyclones as compared to Arabian Sea. It's 4:1. The ratio is 4:1. Why this difference? If we take our Indian map like this, here there are certain factors which influence high intense cyclones on eastern side, comparatively low intense cyclones on the western coast. Why? Formation of low pressure zones. Here most of our rivers drain into eastern side. Because of that, specific heat here would be less. It means the heat to evaporate the water would be less compared to this side. Specific heat is comparatively high. We're not talking in absolute terms but comparative terms. So because of that, this gets heated up quickly. So low pressure zone forms over here very quickly. That's why eastern coast is more prone. Then here, direction of cyclone movement. We said in northern hemisphere, cyclones move in which direction? From east to west. So whatever cyclones that forms over here, they move like this. But here, whatever cyclones they form over here, they move like this. So because of this entire coast is prone to cyclones. Here, whenever cyclonic storm is there, it is because of this recurving, because of trade winds. These cyclonic storms curve like this. Then they reach Gujarat. That's why in western coast only this region is highly vulnerable. But here all these regions are vulnerable. Then proximity of the coast. Even let's say there is a low pressure zone formed very close to the coast. Then also they can't move like this because there are western Ghats, continuous mountain ranges. The impact would be on this narrow strip. But here, discontinuous mountains, very huge coastal belt, so the damage would be more. That's why severe cyclonic activity is observed in eastern coast as compared to the western coast. This topic is very, very important for our mains examination. Please try to write like this whenever this question asks in the examination. Next, case studies. Here we have this case study of Odisha super cyclone. In the year 1999, a severe cyclonic storm hit Odisha. Thousands of people died, huge scale destruction. But Cyclone Vayu, same intensity cyclone hit Odisha coast, but this time Odisha was better prepared in terms of rescue, in terms of better evacuation, in terms of better awareness among the people. Because of that, during this period, more than 10,000 people died. Here, less than 100 people. So that's how these efforts from the state government reduces the impact, negative impact of various disasters. This is one of such examples. Here, NDMA Guidelines, National Disaster Management Authority Guidelines. This is the organization in India that oversees the disaster management activity. Here, before understanding what are the guidelines of NDMA, we should understand this particular project known as National Cyclone Risk Mitigation Project. It means this project is aimed to reduce the risk of cyclone. Here, World Bank is funding this partially. Central government along with the state government are implementing this particular project. Under this, what are the activities? We said mitigation. Mitigation means reducing the risk, reducing the impact, negative impact. Here, construction of cyclone shelters, shelter belts, mangrove plantations, establishment of last mile connectivity, improving the road linkage, etc. These are main components under this particular project. These are the 10 key areas based on NDMA. NDMA has given a set of guidelines to address cyclones. These are the 10 points. First of all, establish state-of-the-art early warning system. You should send the messages or you should give them the alerts on timely basis. So that is first. Second one, commissioning national disaster communication infrastructure at the national level, state level, district level management authorities. Because these authorities should work in a coordinated manner. So for that, there should be a communication infrastructure. Third one, expanding the warning dissemination outreach by last mile connectivity. There are remote regions which gets affected more. So for them also this early warning should reach. So different technology should be used. Next, implementation of National Cyclone Risk Mitigation Project. That is fourth one. Fifth one, taking structural mitigational measures. Structural mitigational measures means build some infrastructure because of which the risk would reduce. Here, structural lifeline infrastructure should be there. Cyclone shelter should be there. Cyclone resistant houses should be there. All weather road links should be there, etc. This is fifth point. Sixth point is management of coastal zones. Coastal zones should not be overexploited. Seventh one, exclusive ecosystem monitoring network. Ecosystem monitoring network. What is the impact of climate change? For that, we should have a study because climate change is one of the reasons for increasing intensity of tropical cyclones. Why? We said tropical cyclones are formed because of low pressure. Low pressure is formed because of high temperatures. This climate change is associated with global warming. So, if we can monitor these trends, we can monitor the tropical cyclone and their intensity. Then, eighth point is cyclone disaster management information system. We should have a comprehensive system where all phases in the disaster management, that is rescue, relief, rehabilitation, mitigation, preparedness. Likewise, there are many phases in disaster management. Linking all this, we should have an information system. Ninth one is National Cyclone Disaster Management Institute for addressing, for going for research, etc. Next, commissioning of aircraft probing of cyclone facility. For example, if there are any errors in predicting cyclones, etc., we should have aircraft probing of cyclone facility so that we can give the early warning at a particular period of time at the correct period. Here, this is the summarization of all NDMA mitigational measures, structural measures, non-structural measures, and there is this concept of capacity development. Here, multi-purpose cyclone shelters, land use control, hazard resistance. Here, cyclone resistant construction, coastal belts such as mangrove should be there because they will control the storm surge, they will control the speedy winds. Next, engineered structure should withstand wind forces because electricity poles, etc., they fell down even for a small wind. So they should withstand this particular wind speeds. Flood mitigation, because we said cyclone is associated with heavy rainfall. So flood mitigation should be there. These are structural measures. What are the non-structural measures? Non-structural measures are simply policy or law. Here, land regulation, technological, institutional arrangement, public-private partnerships. These are part of non-structural measures. Now, this is very important. How many measures you might take? People should be aware. For that, capacity development is important. Training, curriculum, awareness generation, community-based disaster management, empowering women, persons with disabilities because these are most vulnerable people. So empowering them. When we combine all this with proper funding, with proper institutions at place, with proper human resources or manpower, then we can reduce the number of casualties, reduce the impact of various disasters. Here, zero casualty model means the deaths should be near to zero. That's our method now. But then the economic impacts are more. Rehabilitation, social impacts are more. We should find a way to address them also. This is how we should learn comprehensively about each of the disaster. Now we have got the chance to learn about cyclone because of Cyclone Vayu. Whenever such events are there, we will try to do videos like this. Now we have certain practice questions given here. First one is with regard to tropical cyclone. All these questions are with regard to tropical cyclones only. Try to solve them. This is the second question. Third question regarding strength of a cyclone. Fourth question, why no cyclones at equator? Tsunamis and cyclones. What are coastal defense systems? Means which protect during cyclones. Next is with regard to tropical cyclones in India, Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal. Try to answer them all in the comment section. Thank you very much.